Septali, I gotta get your name right. Septali gonna be first up versus Kevin. That's gonna be all the armors on the net. Septali might have to pop every defense in the world. Gonna try to see if he can rub the void on him. That's gonna be great at Fade. Potentially might need to pop even more defenses. Disperse needs to come out here as the god of Empirical Brace, rolling every defensive in the book. Literally just went piano key through the keyboard, just trying to see if he can use every single survivability tool to live. Does get a silence on to Kevin, unable to interrupt Seb for a second, trying to get himself a bit of a heal. Seb definitely needs some more healing right now, trying to see if he can jump under with Shadow Men's. It's going to be gripped by the Death Knight. Oh, as he does chop him in half. With Chicago charging out, getting the ghosts to find the target. Kevin looking to back up out of this as best as possible, trying to keep the chain of ice rolling on Chicago, eating a meaty LE blast. But actually, Kevin, that's a perfect matchup. As an Holy Death Knight, you're much better suited against magic damage, which is a huge portion of output of Chicago. Gonna be an extra ghoul join in. Back-to-back LE blast. Kevin is definitely gonna have to play defensive. Does have an AMZ in case he wants to use it, unless he's already used the AMZ. Trying to see if he may be able to get the Army of the Dead joined in. AMS up very, very soon. Definitely needs to go for as much healing as possible. As Chicago sending out lightning bolts back to back. Needs to get himself a proc of this. Oh, physical damage. It looks like that's exactly what they got. Getting the big old storm strikes back to back. And Zero on my boy Briar joining back in for the duels, trying to get full bleeds out of Chicago. It is going to be Chain Harvest to get Chicago caught back up, but the bleeds is still rotting down as the Necrolord Feral Burst is just absolutely wrecking right through him. Chicago does hold on to a wall still for now, using the Earth Elemental to give himself a little bit extra health to work with. As the row is going to back up out of there for a second, try to power shift just to break any kind of slows. Is going to go potential for regrowth. Try not to get interrupted by Chicago, as Chicago used all their mana just to try to fight the bleeds, try to mend the wounds of a feral druid. It looks like Zeroa likely is going to be able to catch himself almost a reset, but the Ghost Raptors are not going to let him do it. Try to keep him in play. Gonna be LE Blast, getting him kind of low. Chicago trying to ramp up some damage. Gonna be some lightning bolts back to back for Zeroa. Chicago is hoping every single one of those maelstrom abilities that are used, lightning bolt, heal, Chain Harvest, gets him even more Ghost Raptors in there for even more Maelstrom and even more sustained damage. Big bleeds out of Zeroa as they're going for a Berserk. That's going to be Chicago trinketing with a wall and an Aegis, trying to reduce as much magic damage as they can, as much damage in general. That's going to be more Ghost Raptors join in, trying to continue the blast versus Zeroa. That's going to be another Chain Harvest. Zeroa is in bear form with the Barkskin. Does have a wall in case they want to use it. At some point, does want to get aggressive with Chicago. Needs to build up some call points in order to do so. Sunder with a Stun Totem Raptor. Big LE Blast getting him low. It's going to be tricking out of the Druid. Does get himself a wall with a self-heal rolling in. And a quick roll in Chicago, maybe could get interrupted. Does juke out with that Cyclone? Oh, good juke. Does land him in his CC. Could go for a flesh cut right after, so Chicago will not have an interrupt for a second there, but Zeroa does have that defense, so dives into stealth for just a second. Maybe use a Shadow Melt to make that happen. But it's going to be able to get some decent bleeds on Chicago with the Swarm rotting away, eating away those bleeding wounds. And Zeroa trying to keep themselves afloat as best as possible. Got Thorns rolling. It's going to be Chicago cleansing those Thorns. Is trying to see if he can stabilize as Maelstrom is still flowing through them as they continuously summon more and more Ghost Raptors. With such a short cooldown on Ghost Raptor summons, they got a lot of sustain, lots of Maelstrom, lots of survivability, lots of output as well. Zeroa trying to see if he can get interrupted on a Cyclone. It looks like that's going to be Cyclone not juked out. Trying to go for a flush cut, but didn't account for the fact that Chicago did not get juked on that Cyclone. Trying to go for yet another clone, but that's going to be interrupted this time. This time, Chicago actually is free to interrupt Zeroa as much as possible. Could go for potentially Sunder. Trying to go for a Stun Totem. Zeroa does walk out of it. That's going to be a full wall up for Zeroa, or Barskin rather. Chicago, it's probably just going to have to let the Feral get away. There's only so much they can really do to catch up to them. Zeroa does have a trinket back up. Barskin, in order to reduce some of the punishment from Chicago as best as they can, will come back up very, very soon. And should hopefully be able to line up together a Tiger's Fury with a Feral Frenzy, unless Chicago continue the pressure, and then maybe it'll make it harder for Zeroa to turn around. Does get a juke out on that kick. Looks like Zeroa could go for a flesh count. That's exactly what they're going to do in bear form. Letting the LE Blast of the Raptors in the Grail Elemental, trying to see if they can break through the shield, but is at least going to be able to get himself the recovery, the CC immunity, and the defensiveness of the flesh scout. Thorns are up. Zeroa is going to have this purged off immediately. Does at least force out Chicago to do some globals in order to be able to do so. It's going to be bites back to back with those bleeds. Together with Zeroa could be potentially big damage. Walls available in case they need to. Chicago does have a wall coming back up for them very, very soon. That's going to be Zeroa trying to go for a big old leap. Trying to see if he can disengage from Chicago. It's going to be slows with the Raptors. It's going to be doing some bit of more sustained damage. But Zeroa got plenty of survivability. I think for Zeroa, all they need to do is wait until Chicago, or maybe just continue to pressure Chicago until they're out of mana completely. Chicago hold on to a wall. Zeroa can somehow pressure Chicago, forcing a wall, and then use the Berserk without the wall then they're going to be in a fantastic position. But it's really going to come down to just how much pressure can you put on Chicago. Maim onto the Shaman, trying to go for Moonfires. The Aegis Stricken offsetting some of that magic damage. Big Chain Harvest to help Chicago stabilize a little bit, but the dampening is slowly starting to roll in. Zero trying to keep the pressure rolling as best they can. The Ghost Raptors are going to add some more damage to them. Could be big Ellie Blast right after. Oh, it looks like Chicago does turn around with a fatty crit out of nowhere. I think they got another Raptor in the last second. With Ori going to be up next. Trying to go for a bit of a bow versus Chicago as he's playing that Necrolord Boomkin. Not a playstyle we see all that often in the duels, but it's a playstyle that's actually kind of effective because dot pressure and dot damage is actually a good portion of the boomy damage. It's not super strong, but Moonfire and Sunfire do quite a bit. I despise it. Shaman, dude, they're so tanky at times. Well, they're not really tanky. They just have really high healing and high damage output. They are squishy, but they do have good utility with all those totems. And they do have a short kick. Chicago taking a lot of damage from Ori very early on. That's going to be a lot of that dot damage with the Fury Balloon absolutely just ripping right through him. Fury Balloon counts as the dot, so for Necrolord Swarm, it's actually kind of major. It's going to be Ori trying to swing around with the Starburst hovering around him. But it's not going to be able to hit Chicago with it. Instead, end up hitting the Raptors. And the Warriors just trying to keep the dot pressure on Chicago as best as possible. Do the shooting stars from the Moonfire and Sunfire count as dots? Because if they do, that also gets benefited by the Swarm. Going to be Ori trying to see if he can continue the sustained damage onto Chicago. Doesn't really want to get up and melee that much. He wants to maintain a line of sight of Chicago at all times, letting the dots do as much damage as possible. But he just really wants to keep the Shaman away from him as best as he can. Going to be Ghost Raptors join in as they're trying to power shift around, try to stay as mobile as he can. With a Swarm again onto Chicago. Should potentially be big damage. Going to be Ori trying to go for a bit of a Starfall as they continue the range damage for Chicago. The sustained damage output is picking up the Starburst. Potential walk Chicago as the silenced in. Kind of the CC and can't really do much as Ori picks up yet another Starburst. And going to be Ursos to put Chicago back in the same place in the Solar Beam. It's just trying to give as much control as possible with the Ursos and the Solar and the knockups, not letting Chicago go. A very interesting way of crowd controlling somebody because it's not really a stun. It's not really rude. It's like a mixture of all those things that essentially gets the same effect. Getting those Moonfire, Sunfire in there, letting the stars just do damage over time. There's going to be Ursos onto where Chicago's at, trying to see if he might be able to get some Rastener to activate an Eclipse. If he can get himself a Lunar Eclipse together with full burst, he may be able to make something happen off of that. That's going to be rigorous for Ori, trying to get another Wrath onto Chicago. Does get himself yet another Fury Balloon. That is going to do a bit of damage. That's not the strongest Fury Balloon. It's only 25% as effective damage-wise, but I think resource-wise is huge. Silence onto Chicago. Ori was not able to lock down Chicago with an Ursos and a Solar Beam, though. Interrupted on Arcane. I think Ori maybe kind of limited what he could do. Try to see if he can pick up a Starburst. It is going to knock up the pets of Chicago. Could potentially knock up Chicago as well. As long as he can get himself another Eclipse, it might be okay. Definitely needs to establish the Eclipse. Does get him Eclipse, but looks at this. The pet's not going to get hit. Flash gun for Ori while he's moving, but it's going to get interrupted. He's able to pick up another Eclipse. If he can walk in the back into Chicago, he may be in a fantastic position. Could be potentially a lot of damage. Chicago just chased up Ori. It's going to get knocked up, taking a bit of damage out of that Starburst. And that's going to be the Aegis Trick and try to give him a little bit of survivability. Now it's Ori turn this around. There's no way Chicago trying to get himself a bit of a heal. They have enough Maelstrom and a little bit of mana in order to make it happen, but it's got a limited one they can do. No wall, no nothing. Ori just didn't push in. It's definitely gonna have to get himself another Star Surge in there. If he can somehow get himself another Eclipse, he may be in a decent spot. Sundor to Ori, trick inside of it. Chicago is going to be melted down to the dots, and Ori somehow brought it back for his team versus the Shaman. I'm actually very much surprised with Revendare going to be up next, playing that Kirin Beast Mastery. Not going to be upbaited by the line of sight. Trying to go for the big sting onto Ori. Trying to see if he can survive the sting from the slow to the silence to the damage and healing reduction. Revendare locking down the stun. Is that going to be kill shot to follow? Ori with no health whatsoever. I think it's going to be over. Did his very, very best that he could. I love the CC from Ori as a boomy. He's really tried to play it out of the box. But there's only so much he could really do. With a Hunter walking up and kill shotting him with a stun. There's only so much you can do unless you have all your cooldowns up for that and not super high dampening. I don't think there's much you could really do in that kind of situation. DBZ summoning up a Vile Fiend to hopefully send it Revendare. Going to be the pets joining in. And hopefully the Vile Fiend joined back there as well. They're just trading pets as Revendare got the Raptors or the T-Rexes onto DBZs. Revendare taking a bit of damage from those pets. Actually, looks like he's going to be able to root some of the Demon Doggers back there. Going to be a hand to go down, getting interrupted. DBTs just needs to get all the pets enrolled into Rivendell. Gonna be a tricky for the Hunter, trying to go for Feign Death, will not be able to go for a Kama. That's gonna be all the pets empowered with Demon Dog is joining in. Mordecai into Rivendell, trying to go for a bit of a sippy cup. There's also gonna be the Obelisk down. Rivendell getting hit with a stun. The pets can potentially do enough damage. Probably gonna be a turtle. As it's gonna be but almost a Night Fate dot onto Rivendell. The pets are still around. They are empowered to last a little bit longer. The pets re-engage back with Rivendell. There'll be enough fantastic spot. Rivendell does get line inside of the DBZs with that Kyrian burst. It looks like it's gonna be over with that extra crit. Rivendell does not even worry about line of sight whatsoever with that Kyrian setup. And it's gonna try to see if it can dive into a Vanish versus a Vinci. He's playing the subtlety this time around. Is Vinci going to be able to find Rivendell? Definitely needs to pick up eyes if he wants to be able to get the opener. Looks like he did pick up the eyes. Freezing Trap waiting for him. Does he just charge out Rivendell? Maybe trick us out of Freezing Trap? That's what I think Rivendell was trying to see if he could wait out for. It looks like Vinci doesn't have a trinket right now, but I believe that's just a bug. Like a UI bug. Smoke Bomb, and it's going to go for a Shadow Step. Getting Shadow to Rivendell. No way out. And I think it's going to be over. There's no way you survive that. With back-to-back cheap shots and kidneys like that, there's absolutely no way to live it. With Fetty Whopper going to be trying to see if he can finish off Vinci. Vinci needs to go for a counter-aggressive gameplay here versus Fetty. Cheap shots back-to-back. That's going to be disarmed to Vinci immediately. As Fetty trying to see if he can back up out of them. Vinci got himself evasion. He's actually pretty healthy. Could potentially go for a Shadow Step swap together with Fetty. If he can maybe juke him out. Looks like Vinci trying to see if he can maybe catch himself a reset. I don't know if Fetty is able to get himself in combat. It looks like he's able to jab over to Vinci. The Lexi Portfolio could potentially be a trick of the advantage. Vinci, oh! My God, that was so much burst out of nowhere. Vinci thought he would be okay. They went for a Muck for Death kidney shot. It was did not expect for himself just to blow up like that. Revender catching 2 kills. Chicago taking a long time with that Druid, but it's also a Druid. What else are you really gonna do? True Druid's in fact actually Ori, as well as Briar. We got also Ori coming back as a Necro Lord Boomy, doing a ton of damage to Chicago as well. Just about everybody got a chance to play. I think maybe one person, team 2 never got it, or team 1.